Hey YouTubers, and today I'm joined by the Frozen Particle, or Nathan as he likes to be called sometimes. Why don't you say hello?
Hello guys, welcome back to yet another video. What are we talking about, Mark?
Okay, so today we're talking about something that you and I are kind of a little bit ticked off about, and that is all this new information that we're getting from Super, be it from Planet Salad with Kabe, or Frost, or Magata, Batamo, Hit, all these new characters, all this world building that's going on. The fact of the matter is, we actually don't think that this stuff is ever going to be explained or kind of thought out, developed any way that everyone else is thinking about. Like, we don't actually think that we're actually going to go to Planet Salad or learn much more about Frost other than him kind of explaining who he is and kind of his backstory a little bit and how that might connect to Frieza. And it's just something that is starting to get like me irritated. I think it's starting to get you irritated a little bit. So like, do you want to jump in here a little bit and maybe we'll go off of that?
Yeah, sure. I think the first reason why I think that we're not going to go into any of these places is that it's very strange that, 9 episodes into the Battle of Gods arc, and the whole series even, we got introduced to a concept called the Namekian Book of the Legends. Now, this doesn't get introduced at all in the Resurrection F arc, which I think it should. Especially when Piccolo gets killed, they could have had a passing reference to the Namekian Book of Legends, so that's one reason I don't think it's going to happen. Also it doesn't seem into Toriyama's best interest to introduce all of these new concepts. One, it will drag out the series for too long, and also it's very much focusing on Goku and Vegeta at this point, and it's not getting the other characters involved. And I just don't see it, sort of happening in this series. Mark, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, like, totally, dude. When you're talking about the Namekian Book of Legends, one thing I really dislike about that is in the Fakatsu no F arc, when Goku goes and like revives Piccolo for whatever it's worth, we do that off screen. That would have been a perfect place to kind of bring it up again, wouldn't it, if it was going to be important at all. And one of the things we were talking about before we started making this video is the fact that, this kind of reintroducing or kind of introducing stuff like Planet Salad, or kind of, oh, who is Frost, how is he related to Frieza, what is he hiding, all this stuff. It isn't new to Dragon Ball, because we saw it in Dragon Ball Z, but the difference between Dragon Ball Z saying, oh, he's a Namekian, Namekians make Dragon Balls, we're just going to go to Namek and use their Dragon Balls, and Kami was like, okay, you can wish me back with the Namekian Dragon Balls. There was a thrust in Dragon Ball Z to get us into Namek. And it feels very natural. I mean, you were telling me this beforehand. I feel like in Dragon Ball Super, it doesn't feel natural to sit there and go, oh, I'm from Planet Salad. Or Kabe going, I'm from Planet Salad. And Vegeta goes, oh, I'd really like to go there sometime. It just doesn't feel like that is a natural thrust that's going to get us there anytime soon or ever. It might happen off screen. We might see flashes to it and kind of get an idea. But it's not like we're going to take episode after episode to go there and explain what the same culture is like, or the society where if all of them were good, or looking back and seeing what Frost is and how he's good and like how he's different from Frieza, whether he knows Frieza. Maybe passing reference. Maybe once we get to the fight with Frost, he'll say like, oh, I know Frieza, he's my brother, he's my yada yada yada, and this is what. But we're not going to take an entire episode to go and look at him at this point. It's just going to be one of these things where it's just going to be explained very briefly, and that's the only impact of the story it's actually going to have.
Oh, definitely, I do agree. It's very similar to the Namekian Book of Legends, like I've previously stated. Very similar indeed. I don't think Frost or Kabe it'll get explained, obviously, but it'll, like as it already has in Chapter 8, but we will never go to see Planet Salad or like really get attached to Frieza's race, which could show, mentality of what this series is doing thus far with the Namekian Book of Legends, Piccolo's death, etc. And that really annoys me, because in Dragon Ball Z, it always escalated. All of the ideas that happened in Dragon Ball Z always escalated to a higher thing, and it always tied into something previous. Number one example being Frieza. We get to learn by just a mere coincidence that, he is the galactic overlord, and he ties in so well to Goku and Vegeta's history that I don't think we'll see that in Super at all, and that really annoys me, except for maybe a passing reference, which really does suck.
Yeah, I really agree. And one thing that you mentioned previously about Goku and Vegeta being the main thrust and focus of this series, one thing we saw in chapter kind of like 5 through chapter 8 and also episode 28 is like they have no real emotional connection or even need to be in Universe 6. Right. And the one thing that I feel is that when we have Piccolo coming in, they're bringing back Piccolo. They kill him off. They're bringing him back. He is the only reason and the only person out there in the Dragon Ball universe that has any emotional connection to actually be in Universe 6. And that is because of the Namekian Book of Legends. That's because, that book somehow knows about the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. It knows about the Super Dragon Balls, obviously, and everything. To sit there and learn more about who the Namekians are and how they who they were before, like, their race just kind of got decimated by a drought or whatever it was, would be really interesting. The fact of the matter is that's just not going to happen. There is no thrust to get us onto Planet Salad. There is no thrust to look at who Frost is and why he matters to the series, other than, oh look, it's a new Frieza character. Oh look, it's a Saiyan. Let's have him fight, and isn't that cool? Because that's what we wanted, right? We wanted a good Frieza. We wanted a good Saiyan. We wanted to know that this stuff exists, but they're not going to show it to us.
Yeah, definitely, that's the core problem of Super at the moment. And yeah, like, we're agreeing that it's really cool to see a new Frieza and a new Saiyan especially that's actually good and thrives on helping people, but we don't really get the real satisfaction because we won't get that properly shown throughout the series. It's not like we'll get shown, a TV special or maybe an OVA. We won't get, shown any of that. It'll just be explained, which really does bother me, and especially with you, Mark, we've obviously talked off air about this, and even maybe an anthology movie with Frieza, with Frieza's origins, it will explain, certain things, and it will show his backstory, which Super is not doing. There's no thrust to go to Planet Salad, as you said, and it really is bothersome.
Yeah, I agree, and I would love to see an anthology series on Dragon Ball. I feel like it's that popular, and people would actually go see it, whether it's anthology, whether it's like a movie, a legitimate movie, or an OVA special, or whatever. I feel like it actually is that popular, and people would actually love to see that stuff and further explain the story. I don't see it happening. I honestly just still don't see this series going much further outside of just the tournament arc and looking for the Super Dragon Balls. Like I've said before, I feel like Champa's team will win. They'll find the the 6th Dragon Ball or the 7th Dragon Ball, and Pilaf will steal Champa's wish. Everything will be averted. Everyone goes back to Universe 7 while Goku and Vegeta stay to explore, and that's going to be it. Although I did kind of think, the one thing I can understand, being a thrust to go to Planet Salad at all, is someone interrupting the tournament, kind of a la Majin Buu arc, where it's just completely interrupted, that we don't ever see the end of that tournament or anything like it, and someone steals the Super Dragon Balls right above them, and then they're like, okay, and now it's like a kind of semi-Namek Vegeta versus Frieza getting the Super Dragon Balls, where instead of just one planet, they're using the entire universe, and that's the thrust to go to Planet Salad, where they're like, okay, how are we going to do this? And Kabe's just like, I know, I work with a planet full of good do-gooders that can travel across the universe really quickly. Let's do that. And then they go there, and then they all look for it. But I just don't see Dragon Ball Super being really that expansive. I don't feel like it's going to take its time to introduce a whole slew of new characters, let alone Saiyans. It's never done that. Dragon Ball has never gone out of its way to introduce 50 characters at one time. It's just going to focus on Goku and Vegeta, and outside of that, and outside of what I already mentioned with Piccolo, no one has any reason to care or explore Universe 6 outside of just wanting to be stronger.
Yeah, definitely. One more point that I, happen to bring up is that everything that happens in Dragon Ball that, continues the story happens because of a complication. And in Super, we're really not getting any complications that will really thrust at the story, like the universe crumbling. That really didn't, bring forth any new plots or anything, which I think it should have, but that's just me. So every idea in Dragon Ball happens because something goes bad. You know, for example, the Saiyans, you know, killing, you know, Xiaozuti and etc., you know, further propelled the Frieza arc. So that's one thing to bring up, and Super is obviously not giving us any real complications aside from, you know, 1 or 2 hiccups here and there, people dying, which even then that happens, you know, off screen, they, you know, get wished back, Piccolo. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
No, I think we've beaten this horse to death. I do agree with you. I really hope that there is some antagonizing force or some complication that we see really soon here. I think that's the whole point of this video, is that I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen. We're just here to have fun. We're here to see new characters and kind of get a glimpse of what Universe 6 is without actually exploring it. But beyond that, I think we're done here, unless you have anything else you want to say after that.
Oh no, I'm all good, man.
Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Nathan's channel will be in the description below. Make sure to check him out. He does really good content, guys. Like, seriously, like, great editing, everything. He does Dragon Ball, Star Wars, and other stuff. Make sure to go check him out. Anyway, have a nice day, everybody.